Hey, good afternoon. What's up? Welcome everybody. This is Dan here over at DW Productions. I'm jumping out in front of all of you today to talk about some energy saving tips when it comes to trying to reduce your heating costs and your air conditioning costs. This is a all year round investment. Now, what I'm holding in front of here, this is a Suntex. This is their UV or sunscreen shade, their number 80. Now, there's different value numbers when it comes to the screen itself and its effectiveness. Now, I went with the 80 because the screen is a tent. So when you do install this around the outside perimeter of your home, it will reduce the sunlight that comes in. Hence, also reducing the amount of heat that is penetrating into the house. Now, this particular screen is 80% effective when minimizing the amount of UV rays that pass through the window coming into your home. So what does that mean on your air conditioning and heating unit? Well, that's going to mean the minimization of how many times your air conditioning clicks on, as well as your heating unit clicking on. So in the summertime, this is going to effectively increase the lifespan of your air conditioning unit because it's not having to work as hard or struggle when it comes to keeping the house cool. And in the winter time, it's also going to reduce the amount of times that your furnace is going to have to click on, because these window screens here is going to retain heat. So it's going to keep the heat in, and in the summertime, it's going to keep the cool in. How does this actually work exactly? Well, I'm going to flip you guys around here. There we have it. So I've already installed custom fit screens to go around the perimeter of my house here. Now, again, this is the Suntex. So I've been buying rolls of this. Now, this is an investment that you guys don't have to do right away. You can gradually build up over time. So you can find at your local hardware store screen frame kits. You can find these on Amazon. You can find these virtually anywhere when it comes to the screens themselves. Now, the pack that I'm holding, these are 60 inches long, so you're going to have to utilize the random size package and cut them down to exact fit. Now, by cutting it down, I am using a portable miter saw. So I'm going to flip you guys around here. There we go. Get you guys there. So, as you see, this is my miter saw. I've got a bulk roll of the screen. Now, biggest recommendation as far as tip goes when it comes to the assembly of these particular screens is that the brackets that come along inside these kits, or when you buy them from your local hardware store, is the angle bracket for the screen itself is going to be 3/4 of an inch. What does that mean when you're cutting down to the window size fitment? Well, biggest tip recommendation, when you're measuring your window, because the size angles that I'm using is 3/4 of an inch on the corners, that means I'm going to have 1.5 inches additional overall length. So as an example, these particular frames, or I should say these poles, are 60 inches in length. My window is 60 inches tall, but because the bracket corner piece is 3/4 of an inch in size, I actually have to account for the top and bottom being 1.5 inches when you're measuring the combined size of it. So meaning that instead of being 60 inches, I'm gonna have to cut the 60-inch pole down to 58.5 to adjust or account for that 1.5 inch size for the 3/4 on the top, 3/4 on the bottom. So I've already got part of the frame set up here. This guy there, just have to make the bottom piece. So with my particular unit, I am 36 inches wide, so I'm going to have to cut it down to 34.5. I put my little bracket pieces at? So in the kit, you're going to get something similar to like this. Now, in my case, I'm not installing this in the track of the window. I am covering my entire window. It is recommended to have the window screens installed on the east and west facing of the home itself. Reason being is so that way when the sun rises, whatever windows face the sun, you're reducing the amount of heat that is being taken in on the sun facing, for sun up to sundown. And now, because the size of my windows are going to be rather on the large size, the screen itself, when you go to assemble this thing, it is going to buckle a little bit. So as it buckles, you don't have to be panicked, because this is just going to be on the exterior of the window itself. All right. I'm going to hit the pause button here, get repositioned. All right, guys, so now that I'm repositioned here, first thing that you're going to notice, I've got myself a knee pad for me to kneel on. You're going to want a spline roller. So that is for the little trim piece that's going to go and press the screen into place and hold it into the frame. And then you're also going to want yourself a safety razor. So I've got my screen laid flat down on the ground for the frame. Let's go ahead and fold or roll out the screen itself. Start with corner number 1. Now the easiest way to get this thing pressed in place, take your finger, take your spline, go down to the corner, give yourself about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, stretch the spline string across with your roller, press the screen in the corner, and then start working your way down. Side number 1 done. Grab piece number 2. Now the trick that I have to show you guys real quick, tilt this down. So when it comes to the corner where the roll is at, my recommendation with your safety razor, go up to the inside edge of the frame itself for the corner that this is being fit in. Fold the screen up, cut downward up to that very edge, and then where the remainder of the spline is at, use your razor and snip it. So now when it comes time to fitting the spline going the reverse direction, it's going to make it easier fitting the screen in the corner. As you guys can kind of get a pretty general idea of what I'm doing here. All right, that side is done. Scoot this over, reposition. Again, the recommendation that I have when you guys go to cut the screen in the corner or go to fit it, inside edge that's going inside your frame, line your safety razor up with that edge and just take a snip right there at that spline. Cut downward and cut out. It's just going to make fitting the screen a lot easier. So that way your corners aren't going to bind and buckle and bunch up. And you'll also notice we've got one side of the roller rounded and grooved. Now, when I'm adjusting the screen or getting it fit, I'm not pulling too hard on the screen itself because the size of the screen that it is, because it'll cause it to twist. I'm giving it just a little bit of tension so that way our screen stays in alignment. Okay, I'm gonna pause and bring you to the other side. Again, guys, when you're working these corners, recommendation, right as you have your spline down on the edge, just take your safety razor, go inside the track on that inside edge, and just press down and give it a cut, or as I would say, a snip. So that way you have a little wing tab right here on the corner. So when you're putting your spline in, corners don't buckle. So, and again, safety razor in the corner, give it a snip. Since this is our finished corner, go ahead and press this guy in place. And now we can take the safety razor and start trimming the edges. So when you go to start with a corner, make sure you pull it away from you first, so that way as you slide your safety razor towards you, you're going to keep control of the screen and the track so you don't cut your screen. I always like to go back one last time after the cut. Now there's a couple different ways that you guys can cut this. So you can either go to the outside edge like what I'm doing, or you can go to the inside edge. Just make sure when you go on either side, you keep control of the screen so that way you don't cut your screen for your final product. There. One last strip. So however you guys are comfortable when fitting the screen, you can either do the outside or the inside edge. Just make sure that when you're cutting down on the outside, you don't go into your screen and cut a hole in it, or vice versa if you're on the inside, that as you're cutting, you don't tear the material on this side. So if you're cutting from either side, watch the tip of your blade this direction. If you're cutting this way, watch the center of your blade as you're going down. So use that outer corner to press down on the screen and guide it and drag it. All right, here we have this screen, 3 feet by 5 feet. Hit pause. Alright guys, so the most effective, energy efficient by any means when it comes to an investment. So these screens right here, as you can see, this is the final assembled product of it. 5 feet tall by 3 feet wide. Now, I'm not putting hangers on this particular screen because I'm putting this up against a fixed window. So what I'm going to end up doing is drilling 4 holes, so 1 on each corner, and I'm going to actually have this screwed into the frame of the window. Now what I'm doing to weather seal it is I'm using an Alienware, or I should say a alien tape. That's what it is. This stuff right here absolutely works fantastic as a seal and a bond. So it's a very, very sticky and very adhesive material. So once this is pressed in, so when the screw drives through it, it is going to create a mold and a bond between the frame, the screen, the window, and the screw. So it is going to be weather tight. Without further ado, I'm going to run my few holes in it and get it mounted. So we're at the final finished product here. As you can see, that is the window that I just fit. You'll see the 4 screws that I put through the framing. You'll see my next window. And you'll also notice that I did all of my windows. Kind of hard to tell there, but the benefits of having screens like these, not only is it the air conditioning and heating side, but it also gives you additional privacy as well as that peace of mind of security. So it will take a little bit more effort to remove these screens opposed to your traditional one that gets fitted right in the track. Definitely something I highly recommend. I jumped out in front of y'all today because knowledge isn't knowledge unless you share it. I thank you all for watching.